Hey everyone, this is Ben Hansen. If you've watched my other videos on this channel, you'll be familiar with the recent talk show interviews done by talk show host Jimmy Kimmel with Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. He asked both men about their knowledge of UFOs and Area 51, and I provided my personal opinion of some possible interpretations regarding their nonverbal communications. More specifically, we looked in detail at gestures and verbal devices that might indicate stress, deception, or omissions. If you haven't watched those other interviews, I would suggest doing so before forming an opinion on the interview we're about to watch because they're all interrelated. In those other videos, I always give disclaimers that I'm not an expert in body language, but I do have considerable experience in the business of utilizing many techniques to approximate a person's emotional state and thinking process. I don't feel the need to take up the time to go over all of that again, so instead, we're going to jump right into the video. On February 11th, 2016, President Obama made an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show. This was his first in-studio visit with Ellen since taking office. Obama and Ellen have been friends for a while, and we have no information that there was a specific agenda for this appearance. In conjunction with taping the show, he was in Los Angeles for a few Democratic fundraisers and also for a vacation in Palm Springs. The third party of this interview is 6-year-old Macey Hensley from Kansas. Ellen has invited Macey on her show multiple times. Macey has a knack at memorizing facts about every president. Ellen brings her on the show every few months to participate in trivia contests or travel to different locations. Now on February 11th, Ellen invited Macey on the show to meet and interview President Obama. The show aired the next day on Friday. Let's take a look at how that segment started out.
We have a little presidential expert, and she has never met a president before, and her name is Macey Hensley, and I'd like you to meet her. All right.
I want to meet her.
Macey, come on out.
Good to see you. How you doing, Macey?
Good.
You look great.
Thanks.
Can you believe it?
No.
I mean, when I told you were going to meet the president, you were like, I can't believe it.
You know so much about presidents.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you know just about, tell me something about Roosevelt.
Which one?
Oh,
Just saying. See, good point.
whichever one you want to tell me about. How about Theodore?
All right, so, he, after his mom and grandma died, he went off to be a cowboy.
Did you know that?
I got to say, Teddy Roosevelt's one of my favorite presidents. So he lived a pretty exciting life, didn't he?
So you have questions for the president?
Yeah.
This is a big moment. You can, whatever you want to ask. What's your first question?
Go ahead.
Is there really a book of secrets?
That's a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of secrets would you want to know? What would be in the book of secrets?
If aliens are real.
Ah.
Well, what do you think?
Well, after watching this TV show, I think aliens are probably real.
Golly. Okay. Well.
Which TV show was that?
I think it's called, America's Book of Secrets.
There you go.
Well,
The
seems like somebody spilled the secrets already.
I thought that was classified.
That's a book of secrets, and yet there's a TV show.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, Macey, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet, but when we do, I'll let you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else?
Very interesting. If you remember, President Obama's last public statement on this subject took place on March 12, 2015. One conclusion from that interview is that I believe the president demonstrated some very significant shifts in his demeanor in regards to how he's historically treated the subject. Apart from the joking he and most politicians employ when addressing the topic, there was a moment where his body language and tone conveyed every indication that there is a serious aspect to the UFO inquiry. So what message is he communicating now? Well, first off, let's establish that this is a staged interview. Some of you are adamant that every interview a president gives on a talk show is scripted. I wouldn't go that far, but we do know that President Clinton had forewarning from Jimmy Kimmel that he would be asked the UFO and Area 51 questions. It makes sense that Obama would also have been provided with interview questions beforehand by Kimmel's production when he appeared on the show in 2015. Now, we don't have proof of that, but that's what makes his responses to Kimmel even more compelling. If you know what's going to be asked, then you come prepared and consequently stress level is reduced, right? Some argue that the anticipation of the question for several days prior is what causes the stress we observe. That doesn't make any sense unless the question is inherently stressful. If I don't believe in unicorns, or I think the belief in unicorns is silly, or I have no information that there's a cover-up about unicorns, then it shouldn't matter if I have days to prepare for the unicorn topic, or if someone just blindsides me with a unicorn question. My stress level should be the same. Now, going back to the Ellen show, the production set is designed with several large production cameras with teleprompters. Ellen and her guests can read what's coming up next from the teleprompter, but I also suspect there may have been some cue cards just off to the side of the camera because we could see several times both Obama and Macey's eye line look slightly off to the side of the camera lens. In fact, because Macey can't read yet, Ellen's production staff makes special cue cards for her with pictures to reference. Here she is with Hillary Clinton in 2015.
Do you know much about the Clintons? What can you tell us about the Clintons? This is your cue card. Let me just show people your, because you can't read yet, right?
Yeah.
But so this is her cue card. All right.
I heard that you like Tabasco sauce on everything, including your salad.
To further dispel any doubt that the questions were pre-planned, let's watch a bit more of Macey and Obama's interview.
Yeah. What else?
So, do your dogs even have to have Secret Service?
No, Bo and Sonny, they're on their own. But usually we don't let them out of the White House unless they're with us. So, you know, they're protected.
So, and are you still using the Ellen dog bowls?
You know, the Ellen dog bowls are somewhere. I'm sorry, but yeah, Bo and Sonny,
Give me my charm back. Give me.
You know, they had their favorite bowls, and it turns out they weren't the Ellen bowls.
Oh.
You know, but I like Ellen though. So.
All right, he'll find
sometimes
those.
I use the Ellen bowls for
You just can't even get yourself
oatmeal
out
or
of that.
something.
When the question about the dog bowls is asked, the production editors put up a photo of the dogs on the screen behind. This whole question is more or less a skit, organized with comedic timing as the camera cuts to Ellen for her reaction. Obama plays his role and keeps searching for more to say until Ellen jumps in to signal him that the skit is over.
You know, they had their favorite bowls, and it turns out they weren't the Ellen bowls.
Oh.
Okay, great. So we know the questions were planned, but do we still see any indicators of stress or masking behaviors that might be used in an effort to cover unwanted feelings to leak through the communication? It would be very remiss of me if we didn't quickly point out a few things that might be noteworthy. First, we see a few subtle gestures of Obama playing with his ring and the inside of his palm. He doesn't do it often, but sometimes these actions are used as what we call a soothing or pacifying gesture, used when someone is anxious. They're more or less trying to reassure themselves. We can see Macey doing it with her hands, which is normal for a child appearing in front of an audience and TV cameras. It's also normal for an adult to this degree. Overall, I'm not sensing any significant anxiety here from Obama. He's quite relaxed, as you would expect from the president talking to a small child. As we watch this again, this time look for how Obama's answer is more serious in tone on the alien question, bookended by two joke statements. If this feels a little deja vu, it's because he did many of the same things he did in the Jimmy Kimmel interview. We'll see a joke statement when he answers the question about the Book of Secrets. Then Macey asks the question, are aliens real? Instead of answering her, he deflects and redirects the question back to her and asks, what do you think? Then we'll hear him make another joke about the Book of Secrets. Finally, he'll answer Macey with some stuttering, delays, and every indication that the answer was precisely worded but not directly answered.
So you have questions for the president?
Yeah.
This is a big moment. You can, whatever you want to ask. What's your first question?
Go ahead.
Is there really a Book of Secrets?
That's a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of secrets would you want to know? What would be in the Book of Secrets?
If aliens are real.
Ah.
Well, what do you think?
Well, after watching this TV show, I think aliens are probably real.
Golly. Okay. Well.
Which TV show was that?
I think it's called, like, America's Book of Secrets.
There you go.
Well, seems like somebody spilled the secrets already.
I thought that was classified.
That's a book of secrets, and yet there's a TV show.
Yeah, well, the truth is, Macey, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet. But when we do, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question: Are aliens real? Answer: The truth is, Macey, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet. But when we do, I'll let you know. It's close, but that's not an exact response to Macey's question. All of this is followed by a hard swallow before they move on to the rest of the interview. So even when participating in a semi-rigid interview format, we can see that Obama treats the alien topic different than he has in the past. While he jokes leading up to the question, there's a serious nature about his demeanor when he finally answers. It's a real shift in how he handles a subject now when compared to just a few years ago. Furthermore, we now have another instance of a contradictory statement from what he's previously said on the subject. In review, take a look at this evolution from a joking to a serious attitude and why there's also incongruence. If you remember when he was running for president, he made jokes about extraterrestrials when debating Senator Kucinich. Very understandable because it's not reasonable that he was in a position to know anything significant at the time. Then once he became president, his White House staff released an official statement in 2011 in response to an online petition for disclosure. In that statement, the White House denied that the U.S. government has hidden knowledge or evidence of an extraterrestrial presence. In 2012, he joked about aliens in Roswell and how he could reveal the secrets, but he'd have to kill you. Then on Jimmy Kimmel in 2015, he joked about aliens who won't let their secrets out, but then when pressed for an answer as to whether he looked into UFO files for the first time in public, he suddenly became gravely serious and said,
Explore. I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really?
No president has ever said that about the UFO subject. Well, folks, if this is true that he can't reveal anything, why would he deliberately say this?
Yeah, well, the truth is, Macey, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet.
The truth is, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet. Is that not an act of revealing information? Less than a year after he can't reveal anything, and now he's revealing that we haven't made direct contact yet. Guys, words do mean something. I've spent several videos focusing on the importance of what gestures and nonverbal behavior convey, but words are also important. Someone made the comment on the last analysis I did that it sounded like I was reading the voiceover. Well, guess what? I am reading this. When a presenter, politician, academic scholar, or anyone who wants to convey a precise message speaks, their words are carefully chosen because of the implication of their meaning. They often rehearse and many times will read their text. We can still learn a lot when we know communication was premeditated. A whole science is dedicated to studying the content of verbal and written statements. Let's begin with the phrase, "the truth is." I often feel uneasy when people start important statements with an overemphasis on the truth, with phrases such as, "the truth is," "to be honest," "I swear this is true," etc. Using words like this doesn't automatically mean someone is being dishonest, but I can assure you that deceivers have a greater tendency to use these fillers as a manipulation technique, and they often don't even know they're doing it. By saying, "the truth is," it's almost as if they mean to say everything else that they've spoken is not the truth. If something is true, typically it's not necessary to preface a statement by telling someone it's true, unless you're more worried that they won't believe you and less worried about telling the truth. Now let's look at a few key operative words in the statement. We. How narrow is Obama's scope of meaning for the word we? Does this mean he and his wife haven't had contact with aliens? Does this mean he and his administration? Does it mean the American government or public? Or does it mean all of humanity? If so, does he presume to know everything that everyone else in the world knows about the subject? He didn't presume to know when he was Senator Obama.
You know, I don't know, and I don't presume to know. What I know is there's life here on Earth, and that we're not attending to life here on Earth.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Obama has now asserted that he is in a position to know. He didn't say, "I don't think we've been contacted," or "I guess it's possible that we've made direct contact, but I don't know." He said, "The truth is we haven't made direct contact." He's asserting that because of what he's been told by those who have information, he can definitively state that we haven't made direct contact yet. Then we have to consider what he means by the words direct contact. Does this mean that we haven't had face-to-face contact, but we may have had messages or radio communication? Does it mean we may have found microbes, but not intelligent beings? Or does it mean that others have had direct contact, but not the U.S. government or himself personally? Lastly, we have the final qualifier, the word yet. It kind of hangs on the end as if to say there has been progress and hope for contact, or that contact is expected soon. So here's my conclusion on the whole matter. President Obama has carefully and precisely chosen his words. His speaking pattern is different from President Clinton, who tends to bloviate in all different directions, especially when he's stressed. But with Obama, this one sentence spoken to Macey was thought out beforehand and deliberately worded in the way it was meant to be delivered. But why? Why the denial of hidden knowledge from his administration, then the cloak and dagger secrecy statement to Kimmel, and now the revelation that we haven't had direct contact yet? I can think of only 3 reasonable conclusions. 1. He's playing on the drama and finds it amusing to keep people guessing if he's withholding something, but he really has no knowledge. 2. He has at least some significant knowledge beyond the public domain, and he uses selective wording so he can remain technically truthful. Or 3. He does have knowledge that we've had direct contact, but he's been instructed to keep quiet about it and is now being untruthful in his statements. Unfortunately, there's probably not very many people who know which of these conclusions is correct. Whatever the case, one thing is certain. We've never had so many White House politicians talking about the subject or openly stating they've looked into the records. Coincidence or not, a pattern is emerging. During the time President Clinton and Obama were making appearances on Jimmy Kimmel, we have special advisor to Obama, John Podesta, tweeting that he wished he could have succeeded in seeing the UFO files released. Then we see Podesta become Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign manager. He tweets to actress Lena Dunham, who recently interviewed Hillary, that she should ask Hillary about aliens next time. A risky move for a campaign manager if you don't want your boss to look nutty, unless your boss really does want to talk about UFOs. Then on December 29th, 2015, Damon Steer, a reporter for the Conway Daily Sun, actually does ask Hillary about UFOs, and she replies that she thinks we may have already been visited, but she doesn't know for sure. She pledges to get to the bottom of it if she becomes president. Even the CIA is getting in on the fun with a very odd posting on their official website on January 21st, 2016. Timing it with the release of the new X-Files TV show, the agency releases a surprisingly serious article which includes what they consider their top 5 most interesting UFO reports and a complete section on tips on how to conduct UFO investigations. I find it all very interesting. While no one is likely to undeniably prove that Obama has secret knowledge of UFOs and aliens, neither can anyone prove that his most recent statements were nothing more than well-delivered jokes. At face value, this Ellen Show appearance was a simple and fun interview with a very intelligent kid that just happened to ask about aliens. We've tried unsuccessfully to find out whose idea it was to ask the alien question. Even if the idea to ask the question was all Macey's doing, my opinion in this particular interview is this. There's ample evidence to suggest that President Obama rehearsed the question beforehand. We can speculate this was the case in other interviews, but it's not so clear as it was on Ellen's show. Although he's talking to a child and probably acting a bit to make her feel her question is important, we still see he treats the subject surprisingly more seriously than he has in the past. When he finally answers the question, many factors indicate that his response was deliberately planned, precisely worded, and contained many qualifying phrases that can drastically change the truth of the sentence depending on how it's interpreted. Those who believe he's hiding something believe that this selective wording conveniently allows him to misdirect the public while still technically telling the truth. Finally, from this interview, we also have another example of a statement that is inconsistent and contradictory to Obama's previous stated position about UFOs and extraterrestrial subjects. First, his White House said there's no evidence of extraterrestrials. Then he said he can't reveal anything. And now he says we haven't actually made direct contact. Which is it? Yes, no, or somewhere in between? It's noteworthy because it could indicate that information on the subject is evolving, or that he's not being forthcoming about what he may know. At the end of the day, he came close, but didn't really answer little Macey Hensley's question. The answer to this question is something that millions of people would like to know. Thanks everyone. As always, please be respectful to everyone's comments and use civil discourse without vulgarity or name calling. There are younger viewers who read your comments, and I believe you can get your point across without validating your lack of creativity and intelligence.
The truth is, Macey, we haven't actually made direct contact with aliens yet. But when we do, I'll let you know.